Friends, we have breaking news. It was just announced as I'm recording this minutes ago that the Mongolz have benched Senzu, their best player. They no longer have their best player in the roster, and the major is in less than 2 months. It is chaos in the Counter-Strike community right now. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on, other than that the Mongolz, who've been one of the best teams of 2025, have seemingly self-destructed at the penultimate moment in the season. I have no idea what the hell is going on in the Mongolz camp, but we're going to try and break it down and try and make some sense of this. If you guys enjoy this breaking news coverage, you can show me by leaving a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help me hit 10k subs by the end of the year. And finally, let's go ahead and thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Refrag. Refrag is the #1 CS2 improvement platform, letting you take the next step beyond shooting bots standing still to putting yourself in fun game modes that mimic real game scenarios. Refrag is my favorite way to warm up and practice, whether it's using Twist's custom warm-up routine before I stream, or loading up private Nadar servers to learn utility with my buddies. Refrag has me covered. They also just debuted a new game mode called Challenger, which throws you into intense 1v5 retake situations that will challenge your abilities to isolate fights and clear sites in clutch situations. If you want to try Refrag for yourself, you can do so at the link in the description down below or the pinned comment, and the first 100 people who click it can use my code LionHeartZ for a free 5-day trial for Refrag. Also, that same code LionHeartZ is good for a 50% discount off your next subscription. So sign up today, and thank you to Refrag for sponsoring this video. Okay, there is a lot. I am overwhelmed. There is a lot going on here. This is one of the biggest shock moves I think I have seen in a very long time. So let's start from the top. It was just announced that the Mongolz are benching Senzu. I'm going to go ahead and read their statement, and then we're going to get into speculative territory. It's important to understand right now that at the time of recording, nobody knows anything. Nobody knows why this is happening. There is no clear through line as to what is taking place within the Mongolz camp. Obviously, there's a huge language barrier. There is a cultural barrier. This is a team that we really don't know much about beyond just kind of surface level of the players. So it's very hard to see through and understand what might be happening. We're going to do our best, but keep in mind that half of this video is going to be blind speculation. Anyways, here is the statement from the Mongolz. Today, we made the difficult decision to move Senzu to the bench. Over the past years, Senzu and the boys have together written a new chapter in Mongolian esports, showcasing world-class talent, dedication, and determination. This decision was made after careful discussions between players and management. We deeply appreciate our fans' continued support and respect for the team as we move forward. Senzu remains an exceptional player, and we wish him nothing but success in the next chapter of his career. Now, obviously, the key thing to hang on is that the decision was made after careful discussions between players and management. So that might give us a clue that maybe this was a decision made amongst the other players, and maybe this is like a Shuhei type situation, and Senzu had some behavioral problems, possibly. But again, I want to emphasize, we don't know. That is pure speculation. Because if we're just talking about Senzu on the server, then there is no fucking argument for benching him. Because by all metrics, Senzu is currently their best player. Senzu finally got over the hump of being a playoff choker this year. Senzu could very well be a top 10 HLTV player by the end of this year. That is in the cards. He is for sure top 20. He is one of the very best riflers in the entire world. And he was finally getting clutch in big playoff moments. He was making that breakthrough. Right now, Senzu could be peaking in terms of his potential. He is 19 years old. There is not a single goddamn in the server reason to cut this guy, especially because we are currently in the build-up to the Budapest Major. To remind you guys, the first stage of the Major starts on November 24th. We are less than 2 months from the Major at this point. So the first immediate question should be, how the fuck do the Mongolz play the Major? Who is going to be their fifth? Because as we've covered a lot on this channel recently, we talked about Liquid and FaZe, the roster lock for the Major was on October 6th. So right now, the Mongolz can't make very many transfers to fill this quota. In fact, I was not sure they'd be able to make a move at all based on my understanding of the VRS, which is why the first thing I did was I turned over to he who understands the sacred texts. I asked Messioso, what the fuck? And because Messioso is the smartest man on earth, he has given us an answer. There is not just one roster lock for the Major. There is a different cutoff for substitutes, and that cutoff is October 30th. Today is the 22nd, which means the Mongols have 8 days to find their substitute for the major. Now, there are some caveats. Per what Messioso has said, the Mongols cannot acquire a player who is currently playing on any roster signed to the major. They cannot bring a player in on loan who has one of the 5 major roster slots assigned to any of the attending teams. It has to be a current player who is not actively going to the major. So obviously, that significantly limits the caliber of player you could possibly acquire, because generally speaking, I know this one may shock you guys, but good players are currently going to the major. So who are the Mongols going to get? Add on the fact that this is not an English-speaking team. This team has to speak Mongolian, as far as I understand. A couple of the players can speak okay English, but they're not going to communicate in English. So they have to find a Mongolian replacement for Senzu? This is going to be fucking impossible. Really, the only option they have that might work is they have to go get fucking No Cries. Like, that's not a joke. That might be what they have to do, because No Cries is Mongolian. If he speaks Mongolian, which I'm assuming he does, that might be the only realistic chance the Mongols have of acquiring a player in time who is somewhat on the same stratosphere as Senzu, because Senzu is your best fucking player. You guys are the literal reigning major finalists. What are we doing? Okay. Let's refocus. Let's settle down. Let's try and maybe make some sense of this, though I think that might be impossible. The Mongols have had a couple of very high-profile blow-ups at their last few events, and from my understanding, they haven't been home to Mongolia in a few months. They've stayed in Europe for several tournaments in a row, and that is a strain. I've talked about this in a few of our recaps, actually. Mongols have the toughest travel schedule in all of Tier 1 because Mongolia is just so far away from every relevant tournament. It's just an isolated region in a far-off corner of the world. So they have very tough travel schedules where they're going to stay in Europe for a long time. And that will put strain. That'll put strain on anybody. That'll put strain on the best of teams. For those of you who may not know not-so-recent Counter-Strike history, in 2019, a similar kind of travel schedule strain nearly broke up Astralis at their peak. They forced the org to let them take a break because they played 6 or 7 tournaments, don't laugh, don't comment, fuck you, in a row without a break. And that's for a team that plays in Denmark. Like, they have a much easier travel schedule than the Mongols. So I can fully believe that this put a social strain on the team, on top of the fact that they weren't winning these events. Most notably, Fissure Playground and Thunderpick were events where the fields were significantly weaker compared to like an ESL Pro League. That should be the point where the Mongols are winning. They were arguably the best team in both of those formats. And then add on to it being eliminated from ESO Pro League and Thunderpick by Na'Vi. Yeah, the Mongols have taken some pretty significant losses recently, but none of that should mean you bench Senzu. The only thing that makes sense to my mind with the knowledge we have right now when I'm recording this is that there was a fight. There had to have been something where a player said something or did something that was unforgivable. This is 100% a Shuhei situation, and nothing else better fits the circumstances, because there is no logical reason to do this. This has to be, there is an impasse between these players that cannot be overcome in the next month and a half to play the major, where they refuse to play with each other. That's the only reason you get here. There's no other acceptable outcome. Okay, wait, breaking. We do have a statement from Senzu. Here's what Senzu has said. Quote, I don't know what to say. It wasn't a sudden decision. It feels like I'm leaving my home. We made a lot of memories together. I wish all the best things for my beloved ones. My apologies to the ones who support us. Sorry for the bad news. If you guys didn't give me this great opportunity, there wouldn't today's me. I just want to say thanks for everything. So sorry for everything. And that clarifies absolutely fucking nothing. But it sounds like Senzu's sad, and now I'm sad. Like, he's a 19-year-old kid, man, and he just got cut at the peak of his career. I feel bad. I feel bad in the same way I felt bad for Shuhei. Maybe that's me being an emotional bitch, but like, dog, like he is responsible for putting Mongolia on the map. There are murals of this Mongols team in Ulaanbaatar. These guys weren't just celebrities, they were uplifting a nation that has no real representation in Counter-Strike. It's no real stretch to say that the Mongols might be one of the most important teams to a nation entering Counter-Strike, maybe ever, certainly in recent history, and they were all young. Blitz was the oldest player. Every other star player was below the age of like 22. Realistically, this core could have stuck together for several years. They had no reason to make a change. They could have just gotten better. This could have been literally like a Virtus Pro 2.0, where this core of players play together for like 5 years. That was not an unreasonable set of expectations given the age and the current success of those players. And out of nowhere on a random Wednesday, it's all been blown the fuck up, and we're left with infinite questions. And that's sad, because if the Mongols go to the major without Senzu, they're guaranteed to not reproduce their results. I'm sorry. I don't care if they get no cries. There's no fucking way this team has a shot to repeat a major finals appearance without Senzu, because he is their best fucking player. And it's not even been 6 months since they shocked the world by making that finals in the first place. A moment that literally might go down in Ulaanbaatar history for how much it helps Mongolia. And now he's benched. I'm sad. Anyways, I'll keep you guys posted. Maybe we have to make an update video in a few days. I have no idea. I wanted to get this one out as fast as possible because I was right here. I saw it on Reddit as it got posted. I fucking screamed in my bed and then hopped out to make the video. Hopefully you guys appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you to Refrag for sponsoring this video. If you go to use Refrag, you use my code LionHeartZ for a 50% discount on your next subscription. It's one of the best ways to warm up and practice Counter-Strike. Thank you to Refrag. Thank you to my channel members, Justin, Jesse Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, Beyond Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vegt, I'm Flashbang, Snowy White, Rowdy, LBKcs, Snax Enjoyer, Crunchy Water, Zerotwocs, drudenae, Chron, Gano, Zyro, Devvrat Singh, and Clyde Mead. If you want to become a channel member, use the link to the just like this was a customer only Discord. Follow me on Twitch, 2009, Bye.